Hi, welcome to another edition of the Alan Rosenberg Show, special show, unplanned, but I saw Rick Wakeman in concert the other night, and he actually signed some memorabilia that you see right here, which is pretty cool. I've been holding this since 1974, and he thought it was pretty cool, and this one is 75. But anyway, we'll get to this. So why did I get to see Rick Wakeman? So done a lot of CD record shopping lately, and I have gotten a ton of great new stuff even since my last haul video. So my next video is going to be a haul video. Stay tuned for that. But when I went to one of the record shows, they said, "Hey, Alan, I want to see Rick Wakeman. If you spend X amount of money, we'll give you free tickets at the Paramount." I'm like, "Hell yeah!" So I spent the money, bought some stuff, which you'll see, and they gave me 2 free tickets to see Rick Wakeman at the Paramount. This beautiful theater in Huntington, Long Island. It holds about 1,500 people, and we had 5th row center, 2 tickets, me and my wife. So I came home, said, "Hey, honey, let's go see Rick Wakeman." She's like, "Who?" I'm Rick Wakeman, famous keyboardist. I don't want to see Rick Wakeman. He's funny. He's like a comedian. He tells stories. He's a comedian? No, he's a piano player and organ player from Yes. Oh, you mean the band that did Owner of a Lonely Heart? No, he wasn't on that. Oh, I don't want to go. You're going to go. We're going to have a good time. So anyway, we went. 5th row tickets. And I got to tell you something. He was great. Hey, Kai, you up there?
Yes,
They're not going to be able to hear you. Did you like Rick Wakeman?
Yes, I did. I thought it was an amazing show.
See, that's Carrie right there, who's not a Rick Wakeman fan, but is now. Thought it was an amazing show, right?
Yes, I was very hesitant about going, but I truly enjoyed it.
And he was funny.
He was very funny.
And he's an amazing musician.
Yes, he's that too.
And he's very personable.
Yes.
And he signed my stuff.
Yeah, that's even better.
That was pretty cool. So anyway, there you go from the not the horse's mouth, my wife's mouth. There you go, Rick Wakeman. So, what does it look like? Well, I bought some merch. Now, for all you regular viewers, this stuff's coming down. There's going to be a domino effect, but I'm going to hopefully not. Hey, he even had a little program, an evening of Rick Wakeman, his music and stories, and that's what he is. He's really funny. If you ever saw him when Yes got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he stole the show. He did like a whole comedy routine. And that's what he does. He tells the story of his life and his family, and he's really personable, and he's really, really funny. And then he goes and he plays the Steinway grand piano, and then he's got a couple of electronic synthesizers, quote synthesizers there. And he played a great selection of stuff and tells some really funny stories. He played a song from his new album that was amazing when he was a child, the teacher, and he always liked her because she had freckles all over and had freckles on her boobs, and he just says some really funny stuff, not overly politically correct, which is nice. And he told the story about when he was a session musician and he played for Cat Stevens, and he's just strumming. He's got like a minute's worth of music. And then they said, "Hey, Rick, can you help us out here?" And Rick comes up with the whole beginning, the whole middle, the whole ending of Morning Has Broken. It's all Rick stuff. And then becomes like a #1 hit. And then, Rick's joking, like, "I got paid like $25 for that. Can I get some royalties?" No. And then he told a funny story that Cat Stevens goes to play it on the BBC, and you got to use the union musicians. So they wanted Rick to teach the piano player of the union guys how to play that song. He's like, "Nope, didn't do it." Talks about David Bowie, and said David Bowie's one of the greatest artists he ever worked with, of course, and he showed and he played what he did for Space Oddity and, of course, Life on Mars, which is an incredible piece of work from Rick Wakeman that, David Bowie gets the credit for. But, what an incredible musician. He played some stuff from his first album, The Six Wives of Henry VIII, which was amazing. He didn't touch Journey, but he did some stuff from King Arthur, which is my favorite Rick Wakeman album. And he played only a couple of tracks from Yes. He played on You and I, and he played Wondrous Stories, and plays on the grand piano, and then he plays on the synthesizer. And he's just... I always thought Rick Wakeman was the greatest rock and roll keyboardist of all time. I still think he is. and he still is. I mean, he's so goddamn incredible. So it was a great, great concert. If you have the opportunity to see Rick Wakeman live, like my wife said, my wife's not a big music person, you know. She loved it. It's just an enjoyable. And you know what? The older you get, it was like a 90-minute concert, no opening band, no break. It's really funny. He goes out and he finishes the show. He does a really cool version of the Beatles' "Help" and another Beatles song. He mixes it together. Oh, Eleanor Rigby. Doesn't sound anything like the Beatles version. And then the show's over, and he goes and he stands in the corner, and you see him there. And then he comes back 2 minutes later, and everybody's screaming and clapping. He comes back, he goes, "Isn't encore's like the dumbest thing? Like, I wasn't going to come back." You know, it was just a funny line. So, and the Paramount, by the way, is an amazing theater. There it was. Rick Wakeman is listed right there. At 1,500 seats, even the bad seats are great. Go see Rick Wakeman. Totally worth it. Part 2 of this video, let's briefly talk about Rick Wakeman. You know, obviously made his name mostly with Yes, but in fact he was a hugely successful solo performer. He did the first album, oh, it's going down. I think I saved that one. Six Wives of Henry VIII, which is of course all instrumental, and this was the original vinyl. And what did he play last night? He played Jane Seymour and Catherine Howard. Catherine Howard is amazing. You know, he did bits and pieces of this on Yes songs originally. And this is a great, great all-instrumental Rick Wakeman album. I love that one. And then he redid it here, live at the Hampton Courts Palace, live. Rick Wakeman can battle Frank Zappa for who has the most albums. Rick Wakeman is so prolific. I mean, literally hundreds of albums he has. But these are the prime ones for sure. The second album, of course, was the massive success of Journey to the Center of the Earth. It's actually, I got to be in the mood for it, but there he is. You know, he recorded it live with a symphony orchestra. And this is the original vinyl. Beautiful, you know, he went all out, man, on A&M Records, and beautiful artwork, really nice. This is what makes vinyl so sweet, right? And he didn't play anything from this album, but the problem with that album is a lot of narration. White Rock, which came out in '77, is a soundtrack, from the Olympics, I think it was. That's pretty good. You notice it's falling down, right? And then my favorite, my favorite is this one, The Myths and Legends of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. This is an extraordinary album. I love this. The songs are great. Great packaging. Only 6 tracks originally, right? 7 tracks. 7 tracks originally, because you only had like a 40-minute running time. This was the booklet that came with the original vinyl album. You know, Rick Wakeman always went all out. And this is a legendary album, but he couldn't fit all of the stuff on there that he originally wanted. So last night, his merch guy, we were talking for a long time, and Rick, a couple of years ago, redid the album, The Myths and Legends of King Arthur and the Knights Round Table, as a 2 CD set loaded with tracks. This now has 20 tracks. So I'm really excited about listening to this, because this was always my favorite album. What else is great from Rick? The King Biscuit Flower Hour concert is almost like a best of Rick Wakeman right there. Journey to the Center of the Earth, stuff from the Six Wives of Henry VIII, and you got some King Arthur stuff. This is like a best of those 3 albums recorded live. It's tremendously great. And this I love. Now, this is one of the most famous concerts of all time, 1975. This is Rick Wakeman live at the Empire Pool, King Arthur on Ice. You know, Rick Wakeman, to me, he's like a punk rocker. And you're like, what are you talking about? Rick Wakeman obviously was very wealthy, but he thinks really, really big. And he financed this show at the Empire Pool, and it's one of the most famous made fun of concerts of all time. And he staged it with a symphony and choruses, and it's on ice. Can you imagine that? I have some old articles from Circus Magazine. Here's his plunge from Journey to the Center of the Earth. He goes so big, and he's not afraid to take risks, and he lost a lot of money. But this is the famous one that we're talking about, and this is the actual video recording and the soundtrack of it when he played on ice. And he lost a ton of money, and that's kind of what it looked like. Folly of the Decade, Rick Wakeman's Reich Opera on Ice. So, I mean, you got to have balls to do what Rick Wakeman did. And here's the actual review from Rolling Stone magazine. His mythic ice capades. Rick Wakeman, Wembley Empire Pool, May of 1975. They just were not a fan. But I don't care because I think it's awesome. So God bless Rick Wakeman. And never gets good reviews because being progressive and thinking big and thinking out of the box, not a very cool thing to do. But he's awesome, as you could see. And he's still awesome. So we had a great night. And then to top it all off, I brought some stuff from my archives. And he wasn't signing, but when I told his merch person, I said, listen, I've been holding these ads since 1974 and 1975. He says, well, Rick would love to see them. And there it is. And he signed it. And then he also signed the King Arthur one. And it was so old it started falling apart. This is just kind of a shame. Coming home, it just started falling apart. So he signed that one too. But I do have another one. I'm going to try to patch them together. So anyway, thank you, Rick Wakeman, for an amazing night. He's highly recommended. He's funny. He's like a stand-up comedian. His musicianship is still incredible. And to be able to play a grand piano, Steinway, and keyboards solo by yourself with no vocals, you just get enveloped with the sound. It's melodic. He's a legend. He's phenomenal. There's my review, and a look back at some of the discography right there of the great Rick Wakeman. I also picked up at the record store, coincidentally, before I went to see him, I picked this up. And this is Live in 2000, pretty similar probably to the show that I just saw, so I'm really looking forward to watching this. That's about it. Most importantly, stay safe, stay healthy. I would greatly appreciate you hitting subscribe, checking out my other videos. Help this channel to grow. 2.5 years I'm doing it, and I hit 900 subscribers. Maybe we'll hit 1,000. That would be kind of cool. So I would appreciate your help. Thanks so much. Sometime this weekend, maybe Sunday night, I will do another haul video because, man, I bought about 10 or 15 new albums. Got some really cool stuff. So we'll see you then.